Well, we're back here at the Hall of History, continuing our look at the Civil Rights Movement during the 1960s. And we looked at some of the more peaceful aspects with Dr. Martin Luther King earlier. Well, for a lot of individuals and groups, sometimes they feel things aren't moving along fast enough and other means are necessary. And today we're going to take a short look at the radical civil rights movement during this time period. The aspects this group took on was called during this time period, was called the Nation of Islam, the Black Muslims, and they preached Islamic teachings, self-defense, and also preached the evils of the white race at this time. Malcolm X, who was a preacher in the Nation of Islam, coined the idea of ballots than bullets. What he proposed was, if you can't change the way things are through the ballot box, then other means would have to be used. And at this time, there were some attacks on U.S. Agencies, and this definitely did not endear this group to mainstream America. The term Black Power was used also at this time. That's where it came from Stokely Carmichael. And this idea was to segregate blacks from the whites and really, hopefully, to really get a black independent nation. It was interesting to note during the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City, these two sprinters here, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who placed, I believe it was in the 200-meter dash during the playing of the national anthem, raised their their fist in what was called the Black Power salute. But if you go back and read their biographies, it was really a much more extensive display of what was going on in America at the time. If you go and Google the 1968 Olympics and start reading about these two gentlemen, two fascinating gentlemen, and what they believed for, and how their lives turned out, and the some of the ramifications from what they did during the 1968 Olympics. The other gentleman there is from Australia, and he also was protesting against some of the abuses in Australia at that time. The other group that was formed this time in Oakland, California, in the mid 60s was the Black Panthers, and they were a militant group. They supported boycotting the military, especially we had the draft going on at this time for the Vietnam War, and they also acted out several terrorist plots against U.S. agencies, and this group still exists today. Uh, During the election time, I believe it was the last election, they did make some waves at some polling places there. You gotta remember you know, during this time there was different aspects going on. We had the civil rights movement going on. The Vietnam War was going on at this time. Also, the equal rights for women were also going on at this time, and it was a very turbulent time in U.S. history. The 60s and into the mid 70s, and fascinating time period if you're so interested. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time to spend on it, but I would definitely, if you're so interested, go and investigate this time period a little bit more on your own. Well, also at this time, what ended up happening is, many, there were, two opposing forces really going on at this time, and unfortunately, you had some assassinations which took hold during this time period here. You can see Malcolm X was, in 1965 in Harlem, New York. He was gunned down. Martin Luther King in April of 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee, gunned down by James Earl Ray. Bobby Kennedy, who was thought going to be the next president at the time after Lyndon Johnson, was gunned down by Sirhan Sirhan, and there was really never any motive, was really never given for this. Uh, as you see here, he was claimed to be a Manchurian candidate. If you ever want to go catch the movie, it's a pretty interesting movie. But it's a person who's completely brainwashed and controlled by some unknown government agency. Uh, a lot of turmoil during this decade. Uh, I remember as growing up during this time frame in the in the late 60s. The news was just filled with all the turmoil going on, in the United States itself, and then with the Vietnam War going on. So this ends this brief one. I think we'll probably do a little exercise during the course of the week on the radical civil rights movement. All right. So this ends today's lecture.